Welcome back to Super Rare Coins, the channel where we explore hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket right now. In today's video, we're going to look at 4 incredible Washington quarters that most people would never think twice about. These ordinary-looking coins have surprised collectors with their unexpected rarity and amazing auction values. Even circulated quarters with scratches and surface, where can sometimes be worth thousands of dollars if they have the right details. Top 1. The 1965 Washington Quarter, with no mint mark, a coin that appears common at first glance, but can become extremely valuable under the right conditions. Even a circulated example with scratches and environmental wear can still attract serious attention from collectors, especially when it shows unusual characteristics. The year 1965 marked an important transition in United States coinage. Before 1965, Washington quarters were made with 90% silver, but rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to switch to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Because of this historic change, 1965 quarters became some of the first clad quarters ever produced. Millions were struck, and most are only worth face value today. However, certain rare varieties and unusual strikes have made some of these quarters incredibly desirable among collectors. The 1965 Washington Quarter, with no mint mark, was produced primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not include mint marks on coins at that time. While the absence of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia coins of this era, collectors carefully study details such as date size, strike quality, metal composition, and unusual minting errors. A large date variety can be particularly interesting because the numbers appear bold and well-defined compared to other examples. Coins showing this feature often stand out under magnification and attract more attention in the collecting community. Even in circulated condition, a 1965 Washington Quarter can hold significant appeal. Many surviving examples show heavy use from decades in circulation. Scratches, rim marks, and surface damage are common signs that a coin has passed through many hands. Environmental damage such as discoloration or staining may also appear, especially if the coin was exposed to moisture or harsh storage conditions. Despite these flaws, collectors sometimes prize circulated coins if they display rare characteristics or unusual minting details. A fine condition example typically shows moderate wear on the highest points of the design. On the obverse, George Washington's hair details may appear smooth, and the cheek and jaw areas often show clear signs of circulation. The lettering and date remain visible, but may be slightly worn. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers may appear flattened, and the edges of the wings often lose some detail. Even with these signs of age, a fine condition coin still maintains a recognizable design and strong historical presence. What makes certain 1965 Washington quarters so valuable is the possibility of rare minting variations or transitional metal compositions. Some collectors believe that a small number of quarters from this year were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets intended for earlier issues. These rare transitional pieces can command extremely high prices at auction, sometimes reaching values close to $100,000 depending on authenticity and certification. When such a coin appears in the marketplace, it generates excitement among collectors and investors alike. Collectors always recommend careful examination of any 1965 quarter you find. The weight of the coin can provide an important clue. Standard clad quarters weigh about 5.67 grams, while silver quarters weigh about 6.25 grams. A noticeable difference in weight may indicate a rare transitional strike. The edge of the coin can also reveal useful information. A silver quarter will show a solid silver-colored edge, while a clad coin will display a visible copper stripe. Authentication is extremely important when dealing with potentially valuable coins. Professional grading services carefully evaluate a coin's metal composition, strike characteristics, and overall condition. A certified example often brings higher prices because collectors feel confident about its authenticity and rarity. Without certification, even a genuine rare coin may sell for far less than its true market value. Stories of valuable coins found in circulation continue to inspire collectors around the world. The 1965 Washington quarter, with no mint mark, reminds us that hidden treasures may still be waiting in ordinary places. A coin that looks worn and scratched might still hold remarkable value if it turns out to be a rare variety. Top 2. The 1966 Washington quarter was produced during a unique period in American coin history. Just 1 year earlier, the United States Mint removed silver from quarters and replaced it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. This change was made because the rising price of silver made it too expensive to continue producing silver coins for everyday use. As a result, 1966 quarters were struck in very large numbers to meet the demand for circulating coinage across the country. Most of these coins remain common today and are only worth face value, but a few rare pieces stand apart from the rest. Collectors often pay close attention to details such as the size and appearance of the date. A large date variety shows thicker and more prominent numbers that are easier to read even after years of circulation. The bold appearance of the date can make these coins more noticeable and appealing to collectors who specialize in Washington quarters. Coins with a clear and strong date often stand out when compared to weaker or lightly struck examples. A circulated example in fine condition usually shows clear signs of wear from decades of handling. Scratches on the surface are common and often result from contact with other coins in pockets, jars, or coin rolls. Environmental damage may appear as dark spots, discoloration, or uneven toning caused by exposure to moisture or air over many years. Despite these imperfections, a fine condition coin still preserves the main design features and remains easily identifiable. On the front of the coin, the portrait of George Washington typically shows moderate wear. The hair details above the ear may appear flattened, and the cheek area often looks smooth from circulation. The lettering around the edge remains readable, although some parts may appear slightly faded. The date is still clearly visible, which is important for identifying the coin correctly. On the back of the coin, the eagle design often shows worn feathers, especially on the chest and wings. The rim may display small nicks and marks that reflect years of everyday use. What makes certain 1966 Washington quarters especially valuable is the possibility of rare minting characteristics or unusual production variations. Some collectors believe that a small number of quarters from this period were struck under special circumstances, including experimental strikes or unusual metal compositions. These rare coins can attract serious attention at auctions, especially when they are authenticated by professional grading services. In exceptional cases, collectors estimate that a rare 1966 Washington quarter with a large date could reach values close to $110,000 in today's auction market. One important step in evaluating a 1966 quarter is checking the weight. Standard clad quarters weigh about 5.67 grams. Any noticeable difference in weight could suggest that the coin was struck on an unusual planchet. The edge of the coin should also be inspected carefully. Most clad quarters show a visible copper stripe along the edge, while unusual pieces may appear different. Even small differences can be important when determining rarity. Professional authentication plays a major role in establishing value. A certified coin is examined by experts who confirm its authenticity and assign a grade based on its condition. Collectors often trust certified coins more than uncertified ones, which can significantly increase the final auction price. Without professional evaluation, it can be difficult to prove that a coin is truly rare. The story of the 1966 Washington quarter reminds collectors that valuable coins can still be hiding in everyday places. A worn coin with scratches and surface marks may not look special at first glance, but closer inspection can reveal surprising details. Coins like this continue to inspire collectors to search through their change in hopes of making a valuable discovery. Top 3. The 1967 Washington quarter with a large date variety. At first glance, this coin looks completely ordinary, especially when it shows circulation wear and surface scratches. Yet under the right circumstances, it can become a highly desirable collectible with auction values reaching close to $110,000. The year 1967 represents an important period in United States coin production. During the mid-1960s, the United States Mint was working hard to produce enough coins for circulation because of a nationwide coin shortage. To discourage collectors from hoarding coins, mint marks were temporarily removed from all coins between 1965 and 1967. Because of this decision, every 1967 Washington quarter was produced without a mint mark, making it normal for these coins to appear blank in the area where mint marks usually appear. Even though millions of these quarters were struck, a small number stand out because of unusual characteristics that make them attractive to serious collectors. The large date variety is one feature that can draw special attention. On these coins, the numbers in the date appear thicker and more pronounced compared to other examples. The digits are bold and easy to read even after many years of circulation. Collectors who study Washington quarters closely often look for differences in the size and spacing of the date because these details can sometimes indicate a scarce variety. A large date example with clear numbers can be especially appealing, even if the coin has visible wear. A circulated 1967 Washington quarter usually shows clear evidence of long use in everyday transactions. Scratches and small marks appear across the surface from years of contact with other coins. These marks are normal for coins that have spent decades in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars. Surface wear gradually reduces the sharpness of the design, leaving smoother areas where fine details once appeared. Although these signs of age may reduce the overall grade of the coin, they also tell the story of a piece of American history that has traveled through countless hands. On the front of the coin, the portrait of George Washington often shows moderate wear in circulated condition. The hair details above the ear and along the top of the head may appear flattened, and the cheek area usually becomes smooth over time. The word liberty and the motto, "I in God we trust," remain readable, although they may show slight fading along the edges. The date remains an important feature, and a large date variety will still appear bold even on a worn coin. On the reverse side, the eagle design often shows the effects of circulation. The feathers on the eagle's chest and wings may appear worn down, and the fine lines in the design can become less distinct. The rim may show small nicks or dents caused by years of handling. Despite this wear, the main elements of the design remain visible, allowing collectors to identify the coin and evaluate its potential importance. The reason some 1967 Washington quarters reach extremely high values is usually connected to rare minting situations. Occasionally, coins from this period were struck under unusual conditions or on planchets that differed from the standard copper-nickel composition. A rare example struck on an unusual metal planchet or showing a significant minting anomaly can become highly valuable. When such coins appear in auctions, collectors compete strongly to acquire them, pushing prices toward remarkable levels, such as $110,000. Careful examination is always important when evaluating a possible rare quarter. The weight should be checked using a precise scale. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, and any noticeable difference might indicate something unusual. The edge of the coin should also be inspected. A typical clad quarter shows a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge, while unusual pieces may appear different in color or texture. Professional grading and authentication are essential steps when dealing with potentially valuable coins. Experts examine the coin's metal composition, strike quality, and condition to confirm whether it is a genuine rarity. Certified coins usually bring stronger prices at auction because buyers have confidence in their authenticity. The 1967 Washington quarter shows how an ordinary coin can sometimes turn into an extraordinary discovery. Even a worn example with scratches and surface wear might hold surprising value if it turns out to be a rare variety. The possibility of finding a valuable coin keeps collectors searching through their change every day. The next time you receive a quarter, take a closer look before spending it. A single coin with the right characteristics could be worth far more than 25 cents, and one small discovery might lead to an unforgettable treasure. Top 4. The 1969 Washington quarter with a large date variety. At first glance, this coin looks like any other quarter that has been used for decades, but certain rare characteristics can make it highly desirable. Even a circulated example with scratches and visible surface damage can attract serious interest from collectors, with estimated auction values reaching close to $115,000. The 1969 Washington quarter was struck during a period when the United States Mint had already transitioned away from silver coinage. Earlier quarters were made of 90% silver, but by the late 1960s the Mint was producing quarters using a copper-nickel clad composition. This change created coins that were more durable for circulation, and millions of quarters dated 1969 were produced for everyday use. Because of the large number minted, most examples remain common today. However, a small number of unusual varieties and rare production pieces have made certain 1969 quarters extremely collectible. Collectors often focus on details that may seem small to the average person. One of these details is the appearance of the date. A large date variety shows bold and thick numbers that stand out clearly on the coin. The digits appear stronger and more prominent compared to normal examples, making them easier to identify even on worn coins. This feature alone can attract attention, especially when combined with other unusual characteristics. Coins with strong date details often remain readable even after decades of heavy use. A circulated 1969 Washington quarter typically shows clear signs of age and use. Scratches across the surface are very common and usually result from contact with other coins. These marks may appear as thin lines or small scuffs scattered across both sides of the coin. Surface damage may also include dull areas, discoloration, or patches of uneven tone caused by exposure to moisture or environmental conditions. While these flaws reduce the coin's grade, they do not always reduce collector interest if the coin shows rare features. On the front side of the coin, the portrait of George Washington usually shows moderate to heavy wear in circulated condition. The fine lines of the hair may appear smooth, especially above the ear and along the top of the head. The cheek and jaw areas often become flat from years of handling. The word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" remain visible, but may show slight fading. The large date remains one of the most important identifying features, and can still appear bold even on a worn example. On the reverse side, the eagle design often displays noticeable wear. The feathers on the eagle's chest and wings may appear flattened, and many of the fine details may be partially worn away. The rim of the coin can show small nicks or dents from years in circulation. Despite this wear, the design remains recognizable and still carries the historic character of a classic American coin. The reason some 1969 Washington quarters can reach extremely high values is usually connected to rare minting situations. Occasionally, coins are struck under unusual circumstances, such as being produced on the wrong type of metal planchet or showing significant minting anomalies. These rare pieces can become highly valuable once they are discovered and authenticated. Collectors and investors compete strongly for such coins, and this competition can drive auction prices toward remarkable levels, such as $115,000. Anyone who believes they may have a valuable 1969 quarter should examine the coin carefully. Checking the weight can provide useful information because a standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A coin that weighs noticeably more or less could indicate an unusual strike. The edge of the coin should also be inspected. Most clad quarters show a visible copper stripe along the edge, while unusual pieces may show a different appearance. Professional grading and authentication are extremely important for coins with potential high value. Expert grading services carefully examine the coin to confirm its authenticity and identify any rare characteristics. A certified coin usually sells for a higher price because collectors trust the expert evaluation.